Most people try to run from pain. They avoid it, suppress it, deny it. But the truth is, pain is inevitable. So the question isn't whether you'll experience it, but whether you'll use it. That's where 50 Cent stands apart. He didn't treat pain like a curse. He treated it like a blueprint. And that mindset, that raw reframing of suffering into strategy, is the foundation of how he turned pain into power. You have to understand, this isn't about glamorizing struggle. 50's early life was brutal. He lost his mother when he was 8. He was raised in a violent environment where survival wasn't guaranteed. And later he was shot 9 times at close range, left for dead, with the world expecting him to disappear. But instead of folding, he studied his pain. He didn't let trauma become an excuse. He made it a source of fuel. That's a mindset shift most people never make. They carry their pain like a weight, but he turned it into a weapon. And this goes deeper than just resilience. This is about psychological strategy. Pain exposes what's real. It forces you to see who you are when there's no applause, no support, no backup plan. 50 Cent didn't just survive hardship, he learned from it. Every betrayal, every loss, every failure, he treated those moments as data. Pain became his teacher, and he paid attention. That's the first major lesson here. Pain isn't random. It's information. It tells you what matters. It reveals your weaknesses. It introduces you to the parts of yourself you've ignored. But most people never get to that insight because they're too busy trying to numb the feeling or blame someone else. What 50 did was different. He leaned into the discomfort and used it to shape himself into something sharper, stronger, and smarter. When you start viewing pain as part of your process, not an obstacle to avoid, your mindset changes. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what's this trying to teach me? And that question, that shift from victim to strategist, is where transformation begins. That's when pain becomes power. Now, think about your own life. Where are you hiding from discomfort? What story are you telling yourself about why your pain disqualifies you from growth? Because the truth is, you're not the only one who's suffered, but you might be the only one refusing to grow from it. That's harsh, but it's real. And 50's life is a mirror for that reality. He took what should have destroyed him and turned it into the very thing that made him dangerous in the best way possible. There's a philosophy behind that. It's stoic. It's strategic. It's about accepting what you can't control and mastering what you can. Pain will come. That's guaranteed. But power? That's optional. Power is what you build when you stop letting pain define your limits and start using it to define your strategy. Let's talk about something most people misunderstand. Emotions. We live in a world that tells us to trust our feelings, to follow our heart, and while that sounds poetic, it's also one of the fastest ways to sabotage your own growth. 50 Cent understood this early on. He learned, sometimes violently, that emotion, when left unchecked, can be your greatest weakness. And in contrast, emotional detachment can be your greatest superpower. Now, let me be clear. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't let what you feel control what you do. That's a critical difference. Because when you're in the middle of pressure, when the world is throwing chaos at you, emotions cloud judgment. They distort perception. They make you reactive instead of strategic. And in 50's world, whether that was the street, the studio, or the boardroom, think about it. Getting shot 9 times and still having the mental focus to not only survive, but build a brand from that experience. That's not just toughness. That's psychological discipline. That's the ability to observe pain without being consumed by it. He wasn't acting out of panic. He was thinking long term. He didn't let anger ruin deals. He didn't let fear stop his moves. He trained himself to move with clarity in moments that would break most people. And that's where this becomes bigger than just 50 Cent. This is about you. How often do you let emotions run the show? How often have you said something you later regret or held back from taking action because you didn't feel ready? That's not strategy, that's emotional slavery, and it keeps you stuck. We confuse emotional expression with emotional intelligence. But the truth is, intelligence is the ability to use emotion, not be used by it. When you develop emotional detachment, you're not suppressing your humanity, you're sharpening it. You're taking ownership of your inner world so that the outer world doesn't get to dictate who you are or how you respond. This is where 50's mindset gets real philosophical. He understood that power isn't about domination, it's about control. And the first battlefield is always the self. When you can stay calm in chaos, when you can absorb heat without breaking composure, you gain leverage. People don't know how to read you. They can't provoke you, manipulate you, or box you into emotional reactions. That makes you dangerous. That makes you respected. And here's something most people don't realize. Calm is more intimidating than rage. Silence is more powerful than shouting. Stillness isn't passivity, it's calculation. 50 Cent mastered that. Whether he was sitting across from rivals or negotiating million-dollar deals, he knew exactly when to speak and when to stay silent. He wasn't loud because he didn't need to be. His control spoke louder than his words ever could. So what does that mean for you? It means the next time you feel that urge to lash out or panic or spiral, stop. Breathe. Okay. Ask yourself, is this reaction helping me or exposing me? Because every time you react emotionally, you give away a piece of your power. But every time you respond with clarity, you build it.
Most people are living inside a story they didn't write. They're boxed in by labels, trapped in narratives built by others, teachers, parents, media, their past. But the moment you give someone else the pen to your life, you give them power. 50 Cent understood this with brutal clarity. He realized early on you either control the narrative or get controlled by it. Here's what made 50 different. He never waited for the world to approve of him. He didn't need permission to be powerful. Instead, he flipped the script. People saw a street hustler. He saw a brand. They saw a criminal record. He saw raw material. Every part of a story that was supposed to disqualify him, he turned it into leverage. He didn't hide his wounds. He monetized them. That's next level ownership, and it's a lesson most people miss. The world is quick to define you, especially when you come from pain, poverty, or failure. If you don't consciously define yourself, others will do it for you, and they'll usually aim small. They'll keep you in the role that makes them comfortable. That's why so many people feel stuck they're living out scripts that aren't there. Scripts written by fear, shame, or other people's expectations. 50 refused to play that game. He didn't conform. He converted. He took the identity society projected onto him and built a character out of it. Think about the name 50 Cent. That was just a rap name. It was a metaphor, a symbol of change in value. He created a persona that let him navigate the music industry, business world, and street credibility, all while staying in control of how he was perceived. But here's the deeper lesson. Controlling your narrative isn't just about branding. It's about psychological survival. When you own your story, no one can use it against you. That's why 50 never flinched when people brought up his past. He had already made peace with it. He had already used it. That's a level of self-mastery that most never reach because they're too busy hiding their truth instead of harnessing it. And this applies to every single person listening, whatever you've been through. Trauma, failure, rejection. That story has power if you're willing to own it. The problem is most people are trying to escape there instead of editing it. But 50 didn't escape. He revised. He turned victimhood into authorship. That's the mindset you need in authorship. You can't change your past, but you can change the meaning of your past. And when you control the meaning, you control the message. You become the narrator, not the background character. And the world starts responding to your voice, not your silence. Look at any powerful figure, artists, entrepreneurs, leaders. They all understand this principle. They build their identity. They don't wait for life to define it for them. And 50 Cent is a master of that game. He knew that perception shapes reality. That's why he was never just a rapper. He was a storyteller, a strategist, a brand. He didn't just build a business. He became one. Let's stop romanticizing talent. Let's stop pretending that success is built on moments of inspiration or bursts of luck. If there's one thing 50 Cent made brutally clear through his life and his grind, it's this: discipline beats drama every time. In the entertainment world, drama is currency. People chase the spotlight, the headlines, the gossip, the noise. But noise doesn't build empires. Noise fades. 50 knew this. He didn't chase attention. He chased execution. While others were trying to go viral, he was building something that couldn't be ignored even in silence. Music, film, fashion, books, TV, liquor brands. He showed up consistently and built brick by brick. And here's the part people miss. 50 didn't rely on motivation. He relied on structure. He had routines. He worked when it wasn't convenient. He created when no one was watching because he understood the psychology of mastering real success doesn't come from doing what you feel like. It comes from doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the ability to make progress without applause. It's the skill of showing up after the excitement is worn off. Most people get caught in what I call emotional entrepreneurship. They start big when they feel hype, but as soon as the pressure kicks in, they disappear. That's not how you win. That's how you stay stuck in cycles of almost. 50 wasn't interested in almost. He was interested in finished and launched and done. And that took an unglamorous, brutal kind of consistency that most people aren't built for because they've been taught to chase excitement instead of systems. He treated the studio like an office. He treated the stage like a battlefield. He didn't wait for a perfect mood to hit the gym or finish a project. He made movement the baseline. That's what discipline does. It removes emotion from the equation. It turns your goals into non-negotiables. And let's be honest, thing that's not sexy. There's no immediate payoff, no dopamine hit, but it's the only path to real sustainable power. When you're disciplined, you don't have to rely on inspiration or external validation. You generate results from within. And over time, those results compound. People often say, you can't control what happens to you. True. But you can control how prepared you are for it. You can control how sharp your tools are. Discipline is about preparing for the moments you can't predict. That's how 50 survived Chow's. That's how he thrived in industries designed to eat people alive. He stayed ready so he didn't have to get ready. Think of it like this. Your life is either being built by habits or broken by. There's no in between. 50's habits were forged in fire, hustling, learning, working, not chasing validation, not chasing drama. He knew that hype dies, but discipline lives. So if you want to build something that lasts, your health, your business, your name, stop chasing motivation, start building mechanisms, create routines, set standards, execute like your future depends on it, because it does. We live in a culture that rewards noise. The loudest voice often gets the most attention. Everyone wants to talk, to react, to be heard now. But here's the thing. Power doesn't always speak. Real power knows when to stay silent. And 50 Cent mastered that art like a surgeon. From the outside, people think power is about control, about dominance, about speaking first and talking loud. But that's a rookie mindset. 50 understood that in life, and especially in business or conflict. Reactive people lose leverage. The second you show your emotions, your plans, your fears, you've exposed your position. You've given the other side to manipulate you. And let's be real, 50 Cent didn't grow up in a world where mistakes could be harmless. He grew up in a world where the wrong word could get you killed. That shaped him. He learned not to just survive in chaos, but to master it. And one of the key tools used wasn't aggression. It was strategic silence. He didn't speak unless there was a reason. He didn't explain himself unless there was value in doing so. You could insult him, question him, doubt him, and he wouldn't always respond. Not because he was weak, because he was calculated. Because not everything deserves a reaction. And this isn't just street wisdom. It's psychological warfare. In negotiations and leadership, in any power dynamic, silence can be a weapon. It creates discomfort. It makes the other side fill the space with mistakes. It gives you time to observe, to analyze, to choose your move instead of being moved. We've all seen it. Someone who talks too much in a meeting and gives away their insecurity. Someone who rants online and reveals their emotional instability. Someone who can't hold silence in an argument and ends up saying something they regret. That's not power. That's emotional leakage. And it costs people relationships, deals, opportunities. Respect. 50 didn't play that game. He mastered stillness. He learned that silence creates mystique. It builds tension. It keeps people guessing. And when you finally do speak, your words hit harder because they're rare, intentional, measured. There's a deeper truth here too. Most people talk out of fear. They're afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of seeming weak, afraid of losing control. But what they don't realize is control isn't in the talking, it's in the restraint. The strongest person in the room isn't the one shouting. It's the one who doesn't need to. 51 said, don't argue with fools. People from a distance can't tell who is who. That's the wisdom of a man who's seen both the streets and the boardroom, who's learned that sometimes the smartest thing you can do is nothing. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult needs defending. Silence, when used right, isn't surrender. It's strategy. So what does this mean for you? It means you have to stop reacting to everything. Stop letting people pull you into emotional traps. Learn to observe more than you respond. Learn to wait, process, then act. Not from impulse, but from intention. Most people survive their pain and stop there. They think making it through is the goal. They treat survival like the finish line, as if enduring hardship is enough. But 50 Cent saw survival differently. For him, survival was just the beginning. The real power came when he took that survival instinct and turned it into strategy. You see, a lot of people come from tough environments, trauma, poverty, betrayal, lust. They survive, but they never shift gears. They stay in survival mode, always reacting, always bracing for the next hit. It becomes a habit, playing defense, thinking short-term, trusting no one, hoarding energy. And that mindset might keep you alive, but it will never let you thrive. Because survival mode isn't built for success, it's built for protection. 50 understood that. He didn't just want to leave, he wanted to win. And that shift from surviving to strategizing is what separates those who break cycles from those who repeat them. He took everything the streets taught him, resilience, hustle instinct, pattern recognition, and applied it to music, to business, to brand building. He weaponized his experiences, turned street lessons into corporate tactics. That's next level thinking. That's what makes legends. And here's where it gets deep. Most people think their past disqualifies them. They think because they come from dysfunction or pain or failure, they can't succeed in bigger spaces. But 50's life proves the opposite. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about reorganizing it, taking what tried to break you and converting it into fuel. He once said, I don't let fear stop me. I use it to push me. That's what this point is about, translation, turning emotional lead into psychological gold. Now let's break that down. When you're in survival mode, you're reactive. You focus only on what's urgent. You don't plan, you cope. But when you decide to use that pain as data, as insight, as fuel, you become proactive. You start making decisions based on vision, not just fear. That's when you start building. That's when you stop just trying to not lose and start playing to win. 50 didn't allow his past to define his ceiling. He turned his past into a ladder. From hustling mixtapes out of car trunks to executive producing multi-million-dollar shows. From being shot in the face to speaking in boardrooms with moguls. That's not luck. That's strategy born from pain. That's a man who didn't just climb out. He built an elevator on the way up. And this isn't just about business. This is about life. You have two choices when you've been through hell. You can let it make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. You can let it keep you on the ground, or you can use it as proof that you were built to rise. But that shift only happens when you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, how do I use this to go further?
Not in the way you've heard 1,000 times before. I'm not here to throw cliches at you like, time is money. No, that's wrong. Time isn't money. Time is life. Money comes and goes. You can lose it, earn it back, spend it foolishly, and still find a way to recover. But once time is gone, that second, that hour, that day, you don't get that back. It's the only resource you can never refill. And yet it's the one thing people waste the most. When I was coming up, I watched how people spent their time. Some of them were out hustling, grinding every minute, doing whatever it took to move forward. Others were just existing, hanging around, talking big, but doing nothing. And I realized early, how you spend your time tells the truth about your life. You say you want success, but you spend your hours scrolling, partying, complaining, doing things that take you nowhere. That's not ambition. That's procrastination dressed in excuses. Most people don't even recognize the value of their own time until they've already lost too much of it. They act like they've got forever, like tomorrow is guaranteed. It's not. It's not. Every moment you waste in distraction or delay is a moment you stole from your future. That's real. You're either building something or watching it burn, but either way, the clock's ticking. The harsh truth is, if you don't respect time, you don't respect yourself. The psychology behind this is simple but deadly. See, the human brain is wired to choose comfort over effort. It wants to avoid pain, avoid stress, avoid the unknown. Though it gives you little rationalizations. I'll start next week. I need to be in the right mindset. I'm not ready yet. But here's what that really is. Your mind playing tricks on you. It's fear, disguised as logic. And if you keep letting that voice run the show, time will pass you by, and so will opportunity. The great philosopher Seneca once said, it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. That hits deep, because it's not your lifespan that's the problem. It's how much of it you give away to meaningless things. Watching other people live on social media, arguing about stuff that doesn't matter, holding on to bitterness and distractions, distractions. You end up with a full calendar and an empty life. And it's not about working every second of the day. That's not what I'm saying. This is about being intentional with your time, knowing the difference between what moves you forward and what holds you back. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now aligned with where I say I want to be? If the answer is no, you're not just wasting time. You're wasting your purpose. Look, everybody gets 24 hours. You, me, the richest man on the planet. The only difference is how we use it. What separates the successful from the average is that they treat time like a sacred currency. They spend it on growth. They invest it in progress. They protect it from thieves. And trust me, there are plenty of time thieves out there. People, distractions, habits, all of them waiting to rob you of your focus. If you don't guard your time, they'll take it and leave you broken ways money can't fix.